And in the red corner, weighing in at over a ton, with circular saws for hands, we have the Meganobz! Let's talk tactics.
Anvil of War! Let's talk tactics!
Hey guys, so before we kick off, please feel free to subscribe down below if you like this video. So today on Let's Talk Tactics, we're talking about the Ork Meganobz. So we'll dive right into the stats. The Ork Meganobz have a movement of 4 inches. They have a weapon skill of 3+, a ballistic skill of 5+, as befitting most orcs, a strength of 5, a toughness of 4. They have 3 wounds apiece. They have 3 attacks each. Their leadership is base 6, which the boss knob in the unit gives them leadership 7. And they have a 2-up armor save. For equipment, these guys come stock with a custom Shuda and a Power Claw. Every Ork player who plays Ork should know what a Power Claw is. It does Orky things. And then the custom Shuda is, it's essentially a 4-shot Shuda. 18-inch range, strength 4, 1 damage. For options, and this goes to any model in the squad, they can exchange their custom Shuda for either a Combi Scorcha or a Combi Rocket Launcher. Or they can replace both of their hands with a pair of Kill Saws, which also grants them an additional attack. And the Kill Saw is similar to a Power Fist. It still gets the neg 1 to hit, and it's still ×2 strength, but it has an AP value of -4 and a flat damage of 2, so you don't have to worry about rolling that 1 for your damage. As well, for their equipment, I forgot to mention it earlier because everyone forgets it, is they have stick bombs. Now, how they throw a stick bomb with circular saws or power claws is completely beyond me, but orcs. Alright, so for special rules, these guys have Here We Go, Daka Daka Daka, and Mob Rule as to tie them in with the rest of the Ork book. They also have Keep an Order, which is a knob-specific rule you'll find in the knob datasheet, Meganobz, knobs on bikes, etc. And what that means is basically every time an Ork model flees within 3 inches of a unit of knobs, you roll a dice for that model, and on a 6, it doesn't flee. So it's... the guy's trying to run away, he gets glared at by this giant Meganob, and then he's like sulking back into the fight because he doesn't want to meet those Kill Saws or Power Claws. Snip, snip. So, character synergies, unit synergies in general, for the Meganobz is their movement of 4. So you want things that's going to be able to get them up the field faster or let them get more movement out of their movement. So the War Boss is a natural addition. He allows you to advance and charge, and then he also can throw his weight around as well. Anything that the Meganobz might have trouble finishing off, he can stride in and show them how it's done. And so, as with most things in the Ork book, the War Boss is a force multiplier. Other options are, they have a 2-up armor save, which is really good for Orks. It's unheard of anywhere else in the book, but you're missing the fact that they don't have an invuln save, or they're missing the invuln save. So a custom force field is also a good idea with these guys if you're not planning on just throwing them away or using them as a suicide unit. I found that with the new changes to the force field in Psychic Awakening, it also gives it to them in melee as well. So now they're essentially 3 wound terminators, which is incredibly good, and with the invuln it makes them just that much harder to get rid of. So a melt-a-gun isn't necessarily spelling the doom for your very expensive knobs. And back to the movement, the Weird Boy is also another potential character synergy because of the jump. So you have your Weird Boy, and maybe you pay to make him a Warped if you have the command points, give him that extra power, he throws Warpath on, and then he jumps them up the table. So now that 4-inch move isn't so much of a big deal anymore because you can rocket them across the table. Plus, you might have given them an extra attack, right? And what's better than 4 Kill Saw attacks? 5. So that's pretty good. Other unit synergies for the Meganobz, if you don't want to invest in characters, maybe you are just throwing them away as a suicide unit, or you're trying not to invest so many points into them. Battle wagons or transports in general, because they can fit in a truck. They take up 2 spots in a wagon or a transport vehicle. And I prefer the wagon myself just because it's that bit more survivable, and the wagon can also dish out some crazy damage as well. So personally, what I like to do with mine is I throw them in a battle wagon, a Bonebreaker battle wagon, and then I throw that up the table like a missile, and it rams into something with its Def Rolla, limbs go flying, it's beautiful, the orcs inside are laughing, and then if it dies on the way in, if it dies shortly after, or even if it doesn't die, the Meganobz just pile out of it, right? Because when you pile out, you get that extra little bit of movement, so now you're turning that 4-inch move into a just under 7-inch move, right? With your 3-inch disembark and then your full move afterwards. So that's pretty good as well for getting them up the table and circumventing that movement issue that they do have. So that's it for unit synergies with these guys. Now on to clans. So there's a few clan cultures that directly benefit there's one that directly benefits Meganobz, and there's a few that Meganobz can also use to their advantage. So I'll start with the original Codex clans, and the obvious one that I see a lot of people using is Evil Sons, because Evil Sons gives you that extra movement. It also gives you that extra advance and that extra to your charge. So you want your Meganobz deep in the thick of it, right? They're going to get in there. They're going to start hacking up a Lehman Russ or whatever. So you want them to get right up the table. You want them to melee as quick as possible. A lot of people will use Evil Sons just because you get that extra bit of movement from them, right? So other clans, I run mine as Goths. I mean, it's pretty obvious as to how they're painted. But Goths gives me exploding attacks. And when I went back and I said Warpath with them with the Warphead Weird Boy, throwing Warpath on them and then making them Goths gets you those exploding attacks on 6s. So now you're just getting that many more attacks, right? Which is one of the main downfalls with this unit I've found is it's not an Orc Boy Squad. You don't have upwards of 180 attacks coming out. You have a handful of attacks, and those attacks are high quality, so you want them to hit. And most often they're coming with a negative modifier. So being able to get those exploding attacks on 6s with the Goth clan just lets you maximize their potential damage output when they do make melee. Other ones, Bad Moons, Death Skulls can help if you put rockets or something on your Meganobz. The Death Skulls can help with the rocket, and the Death Skulls trait will also give you an invuln save. It'll give you a 6-up invuln save, so maybe you don't have to worry about moving your big mech with custom force field. He can protect your boys while your knobs have a 6-up invuln. Not as good as a 5, but it's still something. And you can also use their rerolls in melee as well. Every time the unit shoots or fights, it gets to reroll 1 hit, 1 to hit, 1 to wound, and 1 damage roll. So it helps with your power claws. It helps with your negative modifiers when you reach melee. And Bad Moons, it's fitting. They're fitting narratively for the Bad Moons because they're the richest orcs. Obviously, they have the teeth to spend on mega armor, but mega armored knobs aren't your biggest ranged asset in the orc book. So I feel like the clan trait falls short when it should be supported by the narrative. I don't run mine as Bad Moons. Some people do. Some people love it. And then moving away from the book clans, we got a new clan in Psychic Awakening, or a sub-clan, as it were, and that's the Tinheads. And Tinheads will, it affects Mega Armor, Def Dreads, Cans, Knots, Stompas, gives you +1 to hit in melee, so it negates that innate -1 that you are forced to incur with your Power Saw, your Kill Claws, or Kill Saw Power Claws. And so I haven't tried that because I haven't deemed it worthy of dedicating an entire detachment to get +1 to hit with my Meganobz. When you can do it with, and this is going back to the character synergies, one I forgot was the knob with Wa Banner, because he gives +1 to hit. So he can do that for you, and you can still maintain one of the more generalist clan cultures for the rest of your detachment. So for stratagems I like to use with these guys, we'll start off with the unit-specific stratagems. So in the recent Psychic Awakening Saga of the Beast, a lot of less fielded units in the Ork Codex got stratagems that were completely specific to them. And some of them are pretty tasty, including the one that's for the Meganobz, and it's called Hit 'em Harder. So the Meganobz, you pay 1 command point, and you add +1 to their damage rolls for their fighting attacks. And so that can be pretty tasty when you're taking your kill saws and they're flat 2 damage. Now you're making it flat 3 damage. So it helps you get those extra wounds through with that better AP value, or that those power claws could potentially go up to damage 4. Now remember, if you were Death Skulls, you can re-roll one of your damage rolls, so you can re-roll maybe that 1 damage into a 3 damage, which becomes a 4 with this stratagem. So it's pretty good. And then on the topic of actually Death Skulls, their clan-specific stratagem is also incredibly good with Meganobz, because for 2 command points, you can play the Wrecker's stratagem, and then until the end of the phase, an Ork unit can reroll all wound rolls made against a vehicle unit in the enemy army. So your knobs are now, their base strength 5, their weapons give them strength 10, so you're wounding knights on 3s, or you're wounding most other vehicles on 3s. Now you're re-rolling those, so your hits might be a little bit less because of your negative modifier, but you're almost guaranteeing to get those wounds through, right? And with that +1 damage potentially from hit them harder, you can watch vehicles just get torn to shreds by these guys. Other stratagems for them. This one's pretty expensive. It's 3 command points, and that's a lot in the current state of the game. But remember, in 9th edition, they're looking to have armies start with more command points, so this might not be as expensive as it is currently for us. And that's Get Stuck In, lads. So any infantry Ork unit can use this, and basically it's a fight twice. So at the end of the phase, they get to pile in and fight a second time. So, and it's at the end of the phase isn't over yet. So maybe you got a lot of command points, and maybe that knight needs to die. So you've played Wreckers, and now you're re-rolling wounds for not only your first round of fighting, but your second round of fighting as well. So it's all about getting the most out of these guys. They're an expensive unit on the tabletop to field, but if they can get the damage through, then they can make those points back for your army. And it's something that maybe your boys might have trouble doing by themselves. Grot Shields is another great stratagem to use with these guys. Grot Shields can be used for any Ork infantry unit, and you can have Grots in front of them. You can tank shots for them. Basically, you pay a command point, and it's done when the unit has been hit by a shooting attack. It's not done before. So when the unit has been targeted and then hit with a shooting attack, you can declare to pop Grot Shields, and then you roll a dice, and for every 2+, the shot is tanked by a Grot. The Grot suffers a mortal wound and dies, but it negates all the incoming damage. So you can have a Grot tank a las cannon for your Meganobz and keep them alive that much longer, right? Especially if you don't have the invuln save on them. And the other stratagem that I see people using a lot is Teleporta. Now, Teleporta is you pay 2 command points at the beginning of the battle, and before you deploy, and then you set up a unit in teleport, right? So you have it come down via deep strike anywhere 9 inches away from enemy models. So that's another good way to get your Orks or your Meganobz up the table. It negates their less than stellar movement characteristic, so you can drop them down wherever. Maybe you plan on jumping your boys instead. You can use teleport for your Meganobz, and you can have both those threats up the field on turn 2 right in your enemy's face. So that one's pretty tasty, and I see a lot of people using that with maxed out Meganob units. So you're getting the most bang for your buck by dropping 9, 10 Meganobz right down and just having them rampage through the enemy formations, because they're unstoppable once they get there. It's just you got to get them there, and that's the issue. Now, for people like me, I like to run mine, as I said before, in a battle wagon. There is an honorable mention for a stratagem. I think I've used it once. It's 1 command point, and it's called Boarding Action. And basically, if you're within an inch of an enemy vehicle, so say your battle wagon has charged an enemy vehicle, you can drop the boarding plank, and each model embarked on the transport can make a single attack with one of its melee weapons. So you have these kill saws. They can lend to your battle wagon's melee output as well, just for 1 command point, right? If you have it, it is situational, but it can help you get that extra damage through and make your battle wagon go that little bit further by itself. Now, my preferred unit size with these guys is I run 4 in my list. I run them in a bone breaker, as I said. 3 of them I keep bare bones. They got their custom shooter, they got their power claw, and then I give 1 the twin kill saws. And that, I'm not sure where I got that number from, but 4 seems to be a good points level for me. Whereas if I throw them away in that battle wagon right at the beginning of the battle and I lose them, it's not the end of the world. I've only invested a smaller portion of my points in them, and I have that much more for the rest of my army. Now, again, for unit sizes, I've seen people, if you're running the teleport strategy or the teleport stratagem strategy, you can drop down a maxed out squad, and then they're going to be right in your opponent's face, right? And that pairs well with the Evil Sun's clan culture, because you get the +1 to charge. So now you only need an 8-inch charge of deep strike with this maxed out squad of Meganobz. I've yet to try that, just because I don't own that many yet. But I'm sure as my collection of Meganobz grows, I'll definitely give that a shot. So, to wrap it all up, if I'm unsure where I sit with Meganobz right now. I use them in my list. They don't have the greatest success. They're definitely a distraction. They draw a lot of fire because they're big, they're scary, they got a 2-up armor save, and they got strength 10 attacks, so people want them gone. And they just never get their points back in melee. They might draw a bunch of points away in shooting, but I feel like they're still pretty expensive right now for their points. If they came down that little bit in the current meta, maybe they'd do better. And who knows if how much they'll go up, if they'll go up in the new edition. We have yet to see that. So yeah, if you guys have any other combinations that I've missed here today, feel free to comment down below with them and share them with the community, share them with me. And till next time, guys.
Sponsored by... Or you get smash that subscribe button for more Orky content.
Please, sir, can I have some more? Hey guys, so before we get into it, if you like this video, peas
He's a carrot.
please
Say it 4 times right
subscribe.
now. Just let it out.